Hi everyone, today we're going to go through the basic setups of Teams and how to just use the common features. So Teams from Microsoft is a tool that is really useful for group collaboration of some kind of organization that has a commonality or some kind of common interest involved in it. So the first thing you're going to need to get is actually Microsoft Teams itself. Now there's three common ways to get Microsoft Teams. So the first way to get it is you start by going to the Teams website, which is just teams.microsoft.com. So once you go to that site, you're going to be prompted to log in to your Microsoft account. Once you log into the Microsoft account, hopefully you have two-factor authentication set up and it prompts you for the two-factor authentication. And it's going to bring you to this screen right here. So on this screen right here, you can see that it gives you two options for launching Teams. One is to launch the actual Teams desktop application, which is the big screen here. And the other one is to use the web portal. Before I click on either of these, I'm going to show you the third option, which is to actually download a mobile app. Now you can use all of these or one of these. You can because they will keep in sync among each other, and it's actually really handy. So especially when you start using the chat feature of Teams, that no matter where you are, you're going to be kept up to date on what's going on. And the mobile app is also pretty robust. We're going to focus today on these two options. I'm going to first show you how to get show you the web app. But as you can see, before I do that, you can see Microsoft really kind of encourages you to get the actual Windows application, and it is definitely a much more robust application. The web app is good for if you just want to go check something really quick, but the desktop application is really where you want to spend the majority of your time. When you go into the web app, you can see it looks like a regular application. Okay, so we're jumping into the desktop application, and as I mentioned, this is probably where you're going to spend a lot of your time in the actual application itself. And this is kind of a busy screen with a lot going on. So we're going to start with just the basic things, which is essentially just creating a new team. So down here on the bottom, you can just click and it'll say, bring you up to the screen and just say create a team. Now we're going to create a team from scratch, and we're going to make this a private team. We want to have just certain people in this team. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a team that's going to keep track of our client projects. So once we create this, it's now going to say, okay, great work. First thing it's going to do is ask us to add members to the team. Now I'm going to skip this step right now because I'm going to show you how to add them in manually, which will allow you to manipulate that group as you're going along. So I'm going to skip that right at the moment. So here we have our team, and as you can see, it starts with this general tab in this general area. So we're going to click on these three dots here. We're going to click on the Manage Team. And we're going to click on the Add Member to the Team. And this is where we can select someone to add in. Now once we add them in, we basically have two different security options right off the bat. We can add them as a member and we can add them as an owner. As you can assume, if you're an owner, you have full rights. If you're a member, you have the rights of the members group of that team, and we'll get into security at a later video. So we're going to leave this as a member. Now one thing to note is once you add somebody as a member to a team, by default those members and owners have access to the channels that are in the team and all the content that's in that team. So make sure that you're only adding people to the team that you want to have access into the subsets. Like I said, that's by default. You can modify it later on a little bit with security, but it's always safe to assume that the people that you want on the team are the ones that you want to have access to everything within that team. Okay, so now that we have our team set up, what we're going to set up is what's called channels within the team. And channels are like a subset of the team itself. So I'll give you a for instance. So we're going to add a channel into this client projects, and for this we're going to add a project. So we're going to do have this particular project for this client, and we want to keep track of it separately. We want to keep track of the communications and everything going on with it. Once we do that, you can see now the channel is in there. And so let's say we want to add another one as well. So now what we have is a list of channels that we can track separately what's going on with these individual projects. And right here we can see that we have a conversation area. So this is a great area for us to communicate and talk about this particular project. And as you can see, very well placed is a spell check. So we can communicate back and forth, and we can add in different things. You can change the fonts if you want to highlight, so you have editing available. You can add attachments to it. So let's say there's particular PDF or anything like that. You can add in animations. You can praise somebody, which would be more of like a group chat type of thing. You can add in certain files and links. Now, the other thing that you can do when you're in the channel is you can have a meeting for the people that are in that team. And there's a button up here, and it has two different drop downs. One is to meet now. If you click on that, it'll start a meeting right away, and people can join in that meeting. You can also schedule a meeting from here as well. We're going to get into scheduling a little bit in another video, but essentially you can actually have a conference call that's related to this channel and to this team right on the spot. The other thing that you're going to be able to do is you can add tabs to here. So what are some common tabs? Well, you can add an Excel document. You can add a Word document. One that we use a lot is adding a OneNote that can actually keep track of it'll be a OneNote that's specific for that channel in conversation. Same thing with a Word document and an Excel document, so you can have it right at the top. Now I'm going to go into one more thing that is really powerful, and some people don't realize that it's there, which is each channel has an email address. Now, why would you want an email address for a channel? Well, what you can do that is really helpful is you can actually email that address just like you would email any other person or contact, and it'll show up in the channel itself. And I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so what I did was I took that email address and I took an email out of my normal Outlook and I copied it to it. Maybe you would do it as a CC or a BCC, or just take an email from somebody else and forward it. And that conversation and that email shows up right within the channel itself. So again, really powerful way to keep the communications from even outside the company or inside the company, all within one central location. In this case, it would be like we're working on a project. We want to take the communications that are from the vendor and keep them in there. The other thing that I'm going to show you up here is the search bar. The search bar is really kind of powerful because it searches all within all of the teams and the channels and finds things for you. So you can type in particular Word documents, Excel documents, something like that. I'm going to show you a couple shortcut features. One is an @ sign, which will show you the names of people, but then also I'm going to show you the backslash. The backslash gives you common commands that you can do within Teams. So a chat, away, busy, do not disturb, all of those features that you don't have to remember them. You just have to remember the / and that will bring them up. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you in this video is some common features. So as you can imagine, if you start having a lot of channels within a team, it can get really busy in here. And then you might want to start getting rid of some of them. Well, there's two different options for that. So, and it'll only display a certain number of channels as well. So it has its own limit. So there's a couple things you can do. One, when you're done with a channel, you can simply delete that channel. However, when you delete the channel, there could be contents or conversations or things within that channel that you don't want to delete. You want to just not see them right now, but you want to be able to go back to them. So in that case, what you can do is actually just hide the channel. And so when you hide the channel, as you can see, it disappears from this list. Now you can just click on here and see it again and go into it, so it doesn't get rid of it. It just keeps it a nice clean environment. Now you can also do the same exact thing with the team itself. If you no longer want a team, you can just delete the team, and that will remove all of the channels and the content and everything like that. However, again, what you may want to do is just hide that team. So let's say you had client projects for each year, just to keep them organized so that you didn't have a huge team. You just wanted a team per year or per quarter or per particular segment, but you don't want to get rid of all that. You just want to hide it when you're done, and that's where you can hide it. That is the wrap on the general setup of Teams and the basic layout. I hope it was helpful.